rocking with you guys. As always, man. Outside of me, I got my guy, Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, in the building.
That's right. Breeze Nation, what's good? It's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, in the building. NFL execs around the league do not believe the Chicago Bears are going to be an all-in team this offseason. And that opened a real interesting debate for me, a real can of worms, if you will. Real can of worms, because I start going down the rabbit hole. And that's when you start to realize the two teams in the Super Bowl have a heck of a lot of cap space next year. Is there a madness or a method to the Chicago Bears madness? We got to talk about that. And then for some reason, the Bulls are the favorites to land Giannis Antetokounmpo after being like the 10th favorite going into the day yesterday. Got to talk about all that more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always, man. I left yesterday, JC, a wild weekend, right? Just an absolutely confusing, wild weekend of Muzz getting their ceilings punched off. I mean, that's bro, that man got punched in the forehead, and that joint said, bro, I never.
That man was flapping in the wind.
And then won the fight.
Right, yeah.
But lost the war.
Do you get mad at your barber? Or do you just...
I mean, you can't, because apparently he said after that, like, he did something to his hair, and the barber was like, oh, we'll just put the unit on. Don't even worry about it. But it's diabolical. That's all I'm going to say.
You got the wrong Gorilla Glue out there. All right.
Absolutely diabolical what we saw on the... And then on top of that, you want to talk about a knockout. I mean, like, I'm just scrolling through Twitter yesterday as the Bulls are getting absolutely knocked out.
Yeah, you talk about a revenge game. Miami put it on.
I mean, you want to talk about just, hey, take that. That's what we saw yesterday from the Miami Heat on the Bulls. And then while that's happening, everybody's going, by the way, Bulls now the favorite to land Giannis Antetokounmpo this offseason or this trade deadline. What? It's a lot of swings and misses out here that hopefully, I guess if the Giannis one hits, we'll talk about that. That'd be interesting to see. Hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do.
Come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. All right, let's start off with this Bears content because I thought this was very interesting. Over the weekend, probably Friday, I would say this ended up dropping. But Brad Biggs got to talk with a couple of NFL executives, and the conversation seemed like it was more so leaning towards, yeah, I know that Max Crosby's out there. Yeah, I know that Trey Hendrickson is a name that you got to watch for. But the Bears probably aren't going all in. One executive said, when I say nothing would surprise me, some will interpret that as code for a splash move in the weeks and months to come. Trade for a marquee defensive lineman, make a power play move in free agency. Don't rule anything out, but I'd probably set the odds against both. It also wouldn't surprise me if the Bears pick their spots in free agency. There isn't an overwhelming crop of star players who will be available and focus on adding another in the draft class. Another executive went on to say, not a great year for free agency. This was a general manager around the league. Said, I wouldn't count on turning around my team with guys you're going to wind up having to overpay to sign. An assistant GM chimed in. He said, this is really what free agency has kind of become. Look back over the past couple of years, the guys that are actually available, it's never a list that's going to blow you away. It's the old deal where you're better off with the devil you know than the devil you don't. So teams are re-signing their own guys, and there just aren't many guys in their prime healthy coming off of productive seasons that are even out there. There's a couple of more GMs in the article that Big Z talks about. But here's what I found interesting when I saw this, right? Especially with the pairing of the salary cap going up north of $300 million. 303.5 million is the expected salary cap next season. They dropped that last week as well. And there are two teams that are in the Super Bowl who, yes, they're going to have some pieces to sign, and yes, you're going to want to make additions to your team. But it does seem like teams are starting to go the direction of, hey, we're going to find this young talent. At some point, you're going to have to pay it, but we're not going all in. We're not breaking the bank and putting ourselves in terrible positions for us to move forward. And there's a couple of ways that we're seeing teams do this. The Seahawks and the Patriots have done it because they have a ton of young talent and haven't had to pay guys yet. But the Patriots go into next season with $39 million in cap space. The Seahawks go into next season with $74 million in cap space heading into next year. So well below the cap. And they're the ones that are representing the NFL in the Super Bowl. You're seeing a team right now that is going out there and didn't have to go all in, made some nice moves, made some nice signings, but realistically, they're winning with a lot of the young pieces that are on their team. Seahawks, kind of that same conversation. You haven't had to pay anybody massive contracts yet, and so that's something to keep an eye on as well. But I thought it was interesting, too, because all in doesn't just mean you're going for the splash plays. When you go all in, realistically speaking, you could be in a situation where you do have a bunch of guys that are under big name contracts, i.e. the Philadelphia Eagles. There's nothing but contracts all over that mug, but it's about how they have worked some of these contracts out. The void years on Jalen Hurts, you might as well say that he plays for the Dodgers or the Cubs with how they've operated this. So yeah, that's right. That's right. You're a part of the problem. Can't cry about the problem if you're a part of the problem. The void years has become a big thing in the NFL. And now you're starting to see teams utilize that. The Philadelphia Eagles, would it surprise you if I told you $18 million in cap space coming into next season with all of the pieces that they have on that team? So teams that have made the now they may be falling apart. I'm not going to lie to you. Vic Fangio may be retiring. Like it may be. That is what I mean when I say your Super Bowl windows are not long. What was that? 2 years? 3 years?
Yeah.
It was quick.
3-year window, and that was it.
But you're seeing teams, and right now with the Bears sitting cap space going into next season, and there's probably some restructures that'll happen, but effectively $9 million over the cap right now, $13 million in effective cap space over the cap. It would be very interesting because, like I just said, Super Bowl windows are very short. But it seems like there are a lot of executives around the league, and maybe this is what we may have to adjust our thinking to as Bears fans around the league and people that are covering it, is don't expect to see the splash move. Don't expect to see the big play. The all-in may be all-in on the draft this offseason, which may still bring some of those trades that we talk about, because now I think the conversation is more, if you're the Chicago Bears, are you looking around the league and going, we have to find a way to get under the cap? That doesn't mean getting rid of guys. It could be restructuring, could mean adding those void years in, but you have to find a way to get effectively under the cap so that when you need to make those moves, you can. But the all-in for the Chicago Bears this offseason may not be going Max Crosby, Trey Hendrickson, whoever it is, the big name that you want to go get. It may just be good season, boys. We're heading to the draft like it used to be when we all grew up watching the NFL. It didn't used to be go after a big name every year. You had the same names on your team for most of your life because it was about the devil you knew over the devil you didn't. JC, your thoughts on my I took a lot of time there. So
I love it. No, I'm right there with you. I actually agree that I think this is why this offseason is going to be totally different when you're talking about the direction they go and what all in means to the Bears specifically. Like I'm right there with you. I think that even though we talked about the big names like Max and Trey and pipe dreams of Myles Garrett, I don't think that's the route they go because as you mentioned, we're already 9 under. I thought it was 10.7 at one point, but 9 million under the cap or over the cap, I should say.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to get very creative with the guys that you have on your team, either cutting, which a lot of people don't want to do when it comes to the names of Tremaine Edmonds and DJ Moore and trade talks, or Cole Kmet, your favorite Bear, Jalen Johnson or Jaquan Brisker. You're going to have to find a way to restructure contracts. And I know that's one thing that Ryan Poles does do a good job of, and he has good relationships with these players. That's one thing that I have trusted is that, you build up that rapport with your players. And so I trust that Ryan Poles, if he has to go that route to try and make money just appear out of nowhere on this team, then I think they'll do so. But all in definitely doesn't mean like what we did when Khalil Mack came here. It doesn't mean, okay, we have to get the splash player to change the culture in the locker room, to change the culture of the team so that we can have a chance at glory. No, this is a team that is on the rise. Their window is opening, you could say, like right now, not necessarily there yet, where we have the 2 to 3 to 4 year, gap to see if we can get all the way. And so for me, this year, this offseason is all about really being smart and kind of being balanced. And so for me, you look at the free agency crop. I saw the article that talked about it too. Not really a lot of guys that blow you away with the names that are out there, especially for what the Bears need. We talk about Trey Hendrickson all the time, but I mean, he just came off, of course, muscle surgery not too long ago, and so are his better days behind him when he's turning 31. That's the question mark with that. And then also, you look at the draft. There are a lot of defensive ends and a lot of defensive tackles that are being talked about at the top of the draft in the first and the second rounds. And the Bears have really picked well, especially last year. You saw the resume. The Bears went a long way due to their rookies, whether it was Colston Lovin, whether it was Kyle Monangai, your Luther Burdens, well, a little bit of Ruben Hippolyte, I should say, not really.
Yeah, you throw that Hippolyte in there.
Yeah, that might be the only even trade.
No, you can avoid it.
Yeah. So for me, I think that because you've done a good job this past year, you've seen how the draft is going with the new guys in the building, the new front office, and the new coaching staff. I think with that pairing again, they'll go into this offseason and do some really their due diligence on these players. They're scouting, they're developing. Like that's where I think the route will go with the Bears this year. I don't or this offseason. I don't think that they make any big splash plays.
It's gonna be. It's so interesting, right? Because like as you start to get through it, we're all going in, right? I still think, and maybe this is the naivete of me. I truly believe trenches change everything. Look at what you did on the offensive side of the ball. I think this is a great year for you to be an all-in team. Now you have to have the money to do it, which means you have to move on from certain players that are a part of the team more than likely, or a Cole Kmet, a DJ Moore, Jalen Johnson, one of those names, Montez Sweat, if you will. But I truly think if you start to get the answers in the trenches, or if you get the guaranteed answer, I should say, in the trenches, that is a path for you to be in Super Bowl contention right now. But on top of that, that does give a lot of the conversation, or take a lot of the conversation away from the accomplishments that we just saw from the Chicago Bears this season. What they did in the draft this year, Bears had the best draft class by far. Absolutely. Maybe there's some that you could say are competitive with it, but as far as like impact on the field right now that helped you win games, Chicago Bears had the best draft class. Your 7th round pick in Kyle Monangai was a tandem of 750-yard rushers this season, and one of them went well over 100, but two rushers to go over 750 yards, and both have, I believe, 5+ touchdowns. Like that's a great thing for you to say. Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, like there's so many names that you can go to on a pretty consistent basis and say that rookie helped us really well this year. On top of that, we saw so much of the Bears making the most of the situation that they're in. I think if you're going to say don't go all in, like I do feel like, right, Max Crosby changes this team. Right? Like I truly feel like if you add Max Crosby to this defense, your defensive backs are better. Jalen Johnson is better, who's one of your highest paid DBs. That's a great investment. Tremaine Edmonds is better. DeMarco Jackson, who will probably be back with the team hopefully this year, is better. Jaquan, well, I don't know if Jaquan is back with the team, so we'll see there. But like your DBs as a whole are better. Your defensive line is better. Hey, you go out and you address some of the issues on the interior, and you have Max Crosby already there. Like it makes those guys better. It acclimates rookies easier into the system. But realistically speaking, Colston Loveland made this offense better. Ozzie Trapillo made this offense better. Pieces that you had that were young guys that had to be ready for the moment, that had to develop and understand what it was going to be like in a real NFL game. They were why you were able to have the success that you had this season, on top of Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze and guys that you had brought in here before. So I can't disregard the one side of it. And here's the thing, right? What's better in the long run? We all can agree with this. The best situation for the Bears to be in is if they draft young talent that you don't have to pay for 4 or 5 years.
Absolutely.
And you develop that talent into something great while having some veteran pieces that may be fill-in pieces come in and make the difference on the team. And here's the part that's going to suck about that for some Bears fans. You know what that probably means? You're drafting a defensive end at 25. You're drafting a defensive tackle at 25. Maybe you're moving up in the draft to try and get a little bit higher and get somebody else that you like on the board. You're going to have to rely on Dennis Allen and his coaching staff to develop the veteran pieces that are here, like we give them credit for with some of the pieces that they brought in. CJ Gardner-Johnson, a part of that. Deshaun Wright, a part of that. DeMarco Jackson, a part of that. Is that going to have to become what Dio Adangbo is? Are you going to have to sit there and just wait until the day that he finally wakes up and hits you with a Dio?
Oh, me say Dio.
Me say Dio.
I hope.
Please, if you could get off of my team.
That ain't happening. Yeah, that is not happening. No, I'm with you though. I think the name of the game this offseason is draft and develop in a sense. And you also got to keep in mind the future. Again, if you want flexibility now and in the future, think about your quarterback. And thankfully, I feel like we found that answer. Caleb Williams is going to be here for a while, and so right now he only is $10 million against the cap.
Yeah, and that's going to change real quick.
And I looked at it says 12 NFL quarterbacks have a 2026 cap hit of $46 million or more. So that number's going to go way up very, very soon. Caleb's going to probably be the highest paid quarterback at some point just because of how the market is. Yeah. We know when quarterbacks get the new contracts, it's, you're comparing against your peers, and we can expect probably Caleb to get a lot of money. And so right now it's important that you hit on your draft picks, that you hit on these cheap contracts, and probably go that route of developing and drafting, because you need space, you need flexibility. And I feel like maybe if you go all in the sense of getting the big play, getting the big splash guy, in free agency now, you're taking away that flexibility for your window. You look at the example that you just gave of the Philadelphia Eagles. They only got 3 years out of that superstar team that they got that don't like each other. But then you also look at the example you always bring up of Kansas City, where they took a step back, but now they might be back in their wheelhouse, where being in the top of the draft. And then you got guys like Eric Bieniemy coming back to the team, and Andy Reid is still doing what Andy Reid does, and so they might be back in the thick of things before you know it, probably by this year. And so it's about being smart. I feel like Ryan Post has learned certain lessons where he's like, all right, we need to make sure that we stay consistent as a team. If you want to be relevant, not just for a couple of years and make splash plays, then you got to kind of play the long game. And so for them this year, again, I think it's seeing how much success they had in the previous draft, and then building off of that, getting the brain trust of, like I said before, of Poles and Johnson and Allen, that core law firm group, and make sure that they're doing their job this year, this offseason.
What's interesting too, I think, is you bring up, the biggest question in Philly is still, and maybe it's not a question of people in Philly, like credit to that, but I think the biggest question in Philly is still, is Jalen Hurts the kind of quarterback that you can go out there and win because of, and not just win with? Now, you can win with them for sure. And I think there are games. Listen, I've been on Jalen Hurts' side more times than not. I think it's gotten outlandish what we've seen over the last couple of years with how they've used him in some ways. But I've said, right, we've seen Jalen Hurts throw the football well. We've also seen him miss a lot. Like this season was not a good season for you to look back at. And so, it is, if you change a couple of things, tweak a couple of things, can he get back to that guy who actually was decent with the completion percentage and delivered the football? Here's the thing that I don't have a question about. Caleb Williams is a quarterback you can win because. Like you're in that situation of what Kansas City was in. Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback you win because of. And so when that situation happens, right, how did the Chiefs keep the dominance for so long? It wasn't by signing big name guys. It wasn't by going out there and making splash plays every offseason. There was some dude that we talked about every year that we were like, what the is this? I did get another one. They just found a guy that does his job so incredibly well and complements the star talent you already have in Chris Jones or in Patrick Mahomes. And at times, right, the last Super Bowl they won, if we want to be real with it, and it's tough to say because Mahomes is arguably probably second greatest quarterback that we've seen when you talk about dynasties. Like I'm willing to go that far to this point. Mahomes was kind of a bus rider for that last Super Bowl. Like the offense had to be there, but it was not the Kansas City Chiefs offenses that we were like, yo, there is no way you're going to be able to go out there and win those games, right? The defense did a lot of the heavy lifting. You won a ton of one-score games because your offense couldn't put you over the top in that situation. And so you have to go through those ebbs and flows. Welcome to an NFL career. It didn't mean that you ever wanted to be facing Pat Mahomes with the clock running down. It didn't mean that you wanted to go up against Mahomes and Kelsey at the end of a game situation where they're driving down the football field to put them up by 3 or put them up by 6.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't change the fact that you feel like this dude is one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the NFL that can kick your butt. But you went, the defense is the strength of this team right now. And so how do you go through those ebbs and flows? It kind of comes down to you find ways to avoid the all-in scenario. Again, that doesn't mean don't go big with the money. That doesn't mean don't go out and sign names. That doesn't mean don't go out and acquire big names in free agency. And I think this is the part that's funny, JC. We've killed Ryan Poles pretty much all up until last season. I'm not going to say we killed him. We've kind of been...
I mean, we've criticized him fairly, though.
We've criticized him heavily. I mean, listen, stop drafting dudes that play like you. But
that's fair. Yeah.
We haven't said that he's the worst GM to ever walk the face of the earth, right? There's a lot of people that went that route. My biggest gripe with him was holding on to Matt Eberflus. It seems like that may not have even been a him thing
he might have been,
at the end of the day. It took Kevin Warren walking in there and be like, I'm taking heads.
Yeah. He might have been on a leash. Yeah.
This might be the most important time we're ever going to get out of Matt Eberflus. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. You're mentioning all these names. Oh, boy.
I apologize. Most important time we're ever going to get out of Ryan Poles over these next couple of seasons because of how contracts are going to be structured, how deals are going to get done, how you're going to address the draft. And I think a lot of that's going to fall on the coaches. Listen, you got Dennis Allen here. He found Khalil Mack. I remember the Khalil Mack draft. Nobody said Khalil Mack was going to be great. They all went undersized edge. He's going to get bullied. He's not going to be able to do what he did at Buffalo in the NFL.
Yeah, okay.
Well, kind of did. And is still doing it. And maybe somebody that you signed this offseason.
Hey, that's a cheap route. He's still serviceable.
I think this is going to be the most important time that we've seen out of Ryan Poles moving forward. And it's going to be the parts where, because there's a real scenario where you're a great team and you still don't get the job done. Look at the Buffalo Bills.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh boy.
They got the MVP. They had Stephon Diggs. You had multiple answers. You had the best defensive football. You didn't get the job done.
You didn't get the job done. You had Kansas City out the way. You had Baltimore out the way. Like this was the year for them. But no, I'm right there with you. And I'm looking at specifically going back to the Chiefs again, why it's important to draft right, obviously hit on your picks and then develop. 2021 and 2022 back to back, they hit on their picks. Nick Bolton was the 58th overall pick for the Chiefs in the 21 draft. Trent McDuffie in the 22 draft was 28th or 21st for them overall. I mean, look, when you have back to back really good picks, I believe they are obviously tops at their position when it comes to linebackers and cornerbacks. That's what you want to sustain success on your team. And that's something that Ryan Poles even talked about. In order to sustain success, you have to draft properly. And so that's why it's really on him and on Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen to really get this thing right consistently. They got it right last year. And then again, I even think that there may be some gems that we don't know that we have still on this team. You're still waiting for seeing how Shamar Turner turns out when he comes back. You're still waiting to see if Zay Frazier is going to be that speedy cover cornerback like Mayshawn happened to be this year. And so you may have some answers already here going into next year to address some of the deficiencies on defense. Now we're just, again, trying to address the trenches. And so, again, I feel confident that going into this offseason, despite not having all of the money in salary cap right now, that whether you restructure these contracts, whether you do have to cut somebody and you feel maybe there is one name that you go after in free agency, I think they're going to have a really a good balanced mindset when it comes to how they attack this thing and better this team.
Positionally, if there's a name, if there's I don't want to say a name, but if there's a position you can attack, because I think with this conversation now happening, right, like the contracts and the salary cap and stuff like that, and I'll be honest with you, I think sports in general, doesn't it feel like sports is going back to like early 2000s era?
I love it. Yeah, like
the money is different. The money is ridiculous right now. $303 million for NFL salary cap. I believe the expectation is in 27 to be at 327 and 28 to be at 352. We're heading towards 400 million in salary cap real quick. But it feels like I thought that comment that one of the execs made, I think it was the GM, he said, you're better off. Teams are starting to feel like you're better off with the devil you know than the devil you don't.
Yeah.
Remember, NFL trade deadlines used to be boring.
Yeah.
NFL free agency, for the most part, was pretty meh. The NBA used to have, right, some of the splash moves and the excitement. But even like back in the day, like you didn't see a ton of names moving around. Guys stuck with their team. Guys were loyal to the teams. They wanted to be a part of the team. They wanted to get contracts done. I feel like we're heading back towards a lot more of that, except in baseball. Everybody wants to be a Dodger. I'm not going to lie to you. When we get to the Giannis conversation, the Dodgers are a big team in play right now. Like you talk about,
he's going to turn around and play baseball.
The Dodgers got some void years available for Giannis, bro. They're a big team in play right now.
I'm going to play a different sport.
That's literally our thing in our group chat now with my guys. Anytime somebody's available via trade, Trae Young has been made available via trade. He's going to the Dodgers.
Isn't there a cap on their roster?
No, not at all. You just keep going. Just keep spending more money that doesn't truly exist. But no, I think we're heading into a different era in sports. And when you start to look around at, who's going to be ahead of that curve, you got two teams in the Super Bowl right now that seem like they're going to be ahead of the curve and probably heading into next season are still going to have some decent salary cap. Yeah. You've got teams that have been to the Super Bowl and have won that have been able to be ahead of that curve and kind of get themselves under the salary cap there. The team that's the worst is the team that underperformed the worst this year going into next year. $54 million over the cap, the Kansas City Chiefs. They got to figure out how to make things work. But you can make different decisions when you have the guy already there. So I feel like the Bears are in this, it's put up or shut up kind of which direction are you going to pick here? moment this offseason where if you're going to go via the draft, that's fine. Stop missing on 3rd and 4th round picks.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's a lot more help in the building. And you know what? It's going to be like sports were back in the old day. You're going to have guys that are there for the long run. You're going to have guys that are a part of the organization for a long time because they're young guys that have grown up through the organization. There's going to be some guys that you still move on from because you brought in younger pieces that are going to make more sense. But at the end of the day, it's about keeping yourself in a cap controlled situation and knowing when to spend more on the cap.
No, exactly. And even to answer your question, going into the draft, I mean, I've already looked up a couple of mock drafts. The Athletic has a really good one where you're seeing maybe 5 or 6 edge rushers in the first round. You're seeing maybe 3 or 4 really good defensive tackles. You got Caden McDonald, you got Peter Woods. There's a Reuben Bain Jr. I know everybody knows about. Arvell Reese. There's some names out there.
It's some defense to find here.
Defensive names, man, that are going to be there, I think, at 25 for the Bears. Obviously, you also want to address at this point tackle possibly, but I think they go the defensive route for the first round, at least for the first 2 rounds. I believe they might address that. And so if you're talking about picking a direction, obviously that's where the crop of players are going to be really talented in the first round. You have a lot of good linebackers there too. So if you talk about maybe even by chance cutting Tremaine Edmonds and going a cheaper route, there's some really good linebackers in the first round. I believe the first round is going to be dominated by those 3 positions: linebacker, defensive end, and defensive tackle. There's only a few good tackles as far as offensive wise out there for the first round. So for me, that's the route that I would want to see them go. I think Ryan Poles is going to be smart about going about that the right way. And Dennis Allen is going to get his pick of the litter when it comes to people, or rather players that he see that fit his scheme and are the kind of like the build and the type that he wants. Still taking chances on Austin Booker maybe next year, but it's going to be fun to see how they draft and develop, because again, that's my biggest thing. That's the motto, I think, for this offseason is draft and develop. We got to get that in our heads. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of all-in splash plays when it comes to, the trades. I think maybe that's something that we're probably blowing up a little bit more than necessarily maybe the front office is because of the injuries. Maybe they don't want to waste their time. Maybe Trey Hendrickson's best days are behind him with the 2 really good seasons that he had. And so you don't want to take a chance on that and then it come back to shoot you in the foot like it did kind of with Dio. Hopefully maybe Dio has a resurgence, but I'm not expecting that. So that's the route that I think they go.
It'll be interesting to see for sure. I think the one thing, and I realized I never asked the question I was going to ask. If you were going to go a position out there with how sports is changing, where I started a tangent and went down that conversation, got to get some medicine for this ADHD.
Oh, good, brother.
What position would you be looking for? Because, like, to me now it screams, go find you an offensive lineman. Like the defensive ends that are available that aren't the big money ones, man. The defensive tackles that are available that aren't the big one, man. It kind of, the second you take Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson out, you kind of start looking around going, I'm going to draft a lot of pieces. What position would you like to see them attack in some way in free agency?
In some way in free agency, it's still going to be defensive end. I think you double down with going the defensive end route in free agency and also the defensive end route in the draft.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a name that I think would fit perfectly with this team, Khalil Mack.
Oh, little Mack attack coming back.
Yes. I think that
Return of the Mack once again.
Here we go. I think his stability, his obviously his leadership, his presence, all of those things will matter. Maybe even more than Trey Hendrickson, again, because one has been healthy, even though he is a little bit more longer in the tooth when it comes to NFL career. Khalil Mack has been a steady presence on the field and off the field, and I think a return of the Mack would be nice for Chicago because he's going to be on a better version of a team now that's more complete, that's more probably ready to win as a whole, and he won't be asked to do as much, obviously, than he did when he was in his prime, when we got him the first time. And so I would say maybe going that route, defensive end.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Like, can we just get back to? I want to see him finish his career here.
That would
Like,
be
remember we used to do that? Be like, yeah, throw him a contract, man. Let him play those last couple years here. We don't want to send him back to Vegas.
Yeah.
Let him finish out his career. Like I used to love when we would do that. Yeah, I mean, you throw who's somebody we did that with? I ain't talking about the one day joints that the White Sox used to always do. But you throw somebody a nice little, hey man, come on back, man. We want you to teach the vets. We want you to be a part of the organization. We want you to enjoy some more winning. And enjoy your last days here. You treat him like an old dog, essentially. You know what I mean?
Who is the last person? Who
little
is the
ham
last
bone.
person?
You give him a ham bone. You say, go sit in the corner. Just enjoy that ham bone, bro. Just enjoy that. Hopefully, the ham bone is the leg of Jordan Love. You know what I mean? The leg of love, if you will.
Leg of love is crazy.
Pause. That's wild.
Leg of love
is insane. But no, like I 5.5 sacks ain't enough for me to go out and spend the bag on Khalil Mack. But I would love to see Khalil Mack come back to the Bears and finish his career here.
I feel like he could.
There's no logic to it. There's no I gotta win because I'm not looking at the analytics of it. I think you still need to address the position via the draft.
Yeah.
I just want to see somebody finish because we used to do that. Remember, Scotty came back for a year randomly. It was just like, what's Scotty doing here?
Yeah.
He was just on the team with Tyson Chandler and Eddie Curry, and it was like, what the fuck is Scotty doing? He was going halfway through the year. He was tired. His back hurt.
Look, hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for a retiring Khalil Mack to be here and close out his career here. Now that would be epic. But I think they go that route just because, you can't. You look at Kevin Byard, like his I won't say resurgence, like he still has been a steady force, but look at the production that he had on and off the field, and I think you would get that same kind of, not maybe same kind of production, but same kind of presence and mentoring and developing and leadership with somebody like a Khalil Mack, and then you go in the draft and you get another Khalil Mack.
Yeah, listen, that's truly the thing. Hey, you've got Dennis Allen here. Sign the guy and have the guy come in that Dennis Allen was all in on.
Yeah.
And then go draft the guy that you think can be the next him and have him teach the next guy.
There you go.
Hey, Khalil, how'd you get here? I ate steaks and I punched people.
Now you see why I do it. That's right.
That's not why. You're all in for the hollandaise sauce. You can't fool us. Hey, man, we appreciate you. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always. We're going to take a quick break, listening to a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we got to talk about how the NBA got weird yesterday as far as odds and what I actually think happened here. I think we got a little bit of market manipulation, if you will. We'll talk about all that and more coming up next. But first, let's listen to a word from our sponsors over at Aura.
Appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching the show. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Aura. Have you ever done a Google search on your own name? You'd be surprised what pops up. Your full name, email address, home address, health records, your relatives. It's all out there. And that's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests just for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use that information to help them access my social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. It's really simple to set up. I don't have to download several apps or go to things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft, but you can get all of that in one place with Aura. I get everything at one affordable price as well. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like leaving the front door locked while leaving the back door and windows wide open. For you to be able to take advantage of Aura, we got a special deal for you here today. Stop data brokers from exposing your personal information. Go to my sponsor at https://aura.com/the Windy City. Again, that is Aura.com/the Windy City to get a 14-day free trial and see how much of your information is being sold. Breeze Nation, what is good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Ladies and gentlemen, we got merch. That's right. New website, new merch, all out. We've been telling you guys to pull up on us. Now you can at twcbreeze.com, where you can find out all of the latest stuff going on. What all can they find there, Super Producer?
Listen, you can join the nation, sign up to our mailing list, and be up to date for events and news. You can also visit the shop page and order merch, because we have t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got mugs, we got hats, we got all kind of stuff. So, hey, we appreciate you being tuned in with us. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube page and follow us on all our socials. Check us out at twcbreeze.com.
He's way too excited.
I am.
Welcome back.
Are we here?
Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. As always, we are actually Jordan JC. Over 100 in a chat. Over 200 in a chat. 200.
All right.
Big shout out to y'all for tuning in and showing love, man. Let's get 200 likes on the video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Jordan JC, last night got weird.
Oh, boy.
Last night got weird. And I'm not talking about what we all saw you do in that kitchen. I'm talking about.
Hey, you watch it.
I'm talking about this odds. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, what, the Bulls are the favorites to land Giannis
we jumped all the way to the top, baby. Let's go.
And I have a theory, and this probably goes into the bigger story about sports betting and stuff like that, but I feel like we saw a little bit of market manipulation yesterday.
Ooh, okay.
Feel like we saw a lot of people putting their money on the Chicago Bulls, on a Polymart or a Kalshi, which if you are on social media at all, you can't escape it. Social media is hell at this point. It's just like, oh God, place a bet, lose 6,000. Why?
Yeah.
By the way, my favorite part of every Super Bowl party, when you see that guy that like bet $6,000 on the coin toss, you look over at him, you're like, you okay? Yeah. Just hoping.
Yeah. Thought it was
just
head.
hoping my first quarter points bet comes in.
Thought it was heads. Yep.
But somehow the Chicago Bears end up at the top of the odds to go out and acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo, plus 310, the only option above the Chicago Bulls, plus 125. And Jordan JC, as far as I've heard, there's been nothing around the Bulls. The last thing that we had heard about the Bulls was that they weren't interested in Giannis. Now, I'm not saying that things can't change, but remember when Giannis came to Chicago, did a little windmill jam to finish the game. And that was kind of like hey, buddy, like we're letting you know, or I'm letting you know, this is the guy you want. And if you don't want me, I'm going to give y'all problems the whole entire time. It's the rest of my career. So I'm not saying that couldn't have changed AK's mind in acquiring him. But I think more so we're starting to see how sports gambling is getting in the way of certain things, right? With the Bears now the favorite, or he's staying with the Bucks. Every report is that this guy is leaving. Brett Siegel's betting his career that he's going to the Warriors. Like there's a lot happening here. But I just feel like we saw a lot of market manipulation, a lot of money come in on the Bulls as a long shot favorite, because you got a lot of bad bettors out there that are going to say, well, I can get more money if I take the long shot than if I go out here and bet the Warriors to win. I think we got a gambling problem in America, bro. Forget America, in the world. I think that's the only logical sense that this makes. Because outside of that, it would mean every beat reporter, every insider, anybody with intel knows nothing about what the Chicago Bulls are doing. and the Bulls are going to pull off trading for Giannis Antetokounmpo in an unprecedented deal. What do you feel like is more likely there, George JC?
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's weird because I mean, I just like you, I saw the report that somehow, some way, they already said, X-nay on the X-nay to Giannis about a week ago, and so we weren't even nowhere near considered because we didn't want to give up our young core. And so that's where I thought we were. I thought we picked the lane. I thought our tourists and the brain trust was going to be like, no, we don't want a superstar, essentially. But now we're second favorite. Either he stays or he comes to Chicago, I believe, are the odds now. And the only way I can think of that actually happening, the only reason that I could think in my mind of that actually being the case is, didn't he just buy a home here in Chicago or somewhere?
There's a lot of, so he was just in Chicago this weekend. At a Greek Orthodox church in Chicago. He recently bought a home in Chicago, or he bought a building, I should say, in Chicago. I don't know if he plans on living there, but he bought a building in Chicago. Now listen, Chicago property's phenomenal. So when I hear somebody bought a home in Chicago, I don't go, he's coming here. I go, oh, maybe this much trying to get into real estate.
Investing in
phenomenal rates out here. Yeah, I mean, I can gouge you.
Yeah.
And so, like, I looked at it as that, but it is a conversation on that.
Yeah, his family is close to Chicago. I mean, obviously, Milwaukee's a 2-hour drive, and so for me, I don't know. I to me, it's a dream because, again, if you're talking about unloading all of your talent that you have here in a trade, which is what's probably going to have to happen, I feel like you're starting back at ground zero. You're getting your star player, but then what's going to be around him? That's always the question mark, is how many players are you going to let go in return for Giannis Antetokounmpo, who technically is still in his prime and is still a game changer. Obviously, he still plays at a certain level that would be special or considered special because he's just that good of a player. But you're getting him still technically on the downtrend of his career. And so are we doing the Rondo Wade thing? I'm not saying he's that old, but No. But in my point, I think I'm trying to say is, are we just trying to make it look like we're becoming a team that can compete, and we're really not, by getting the name and letting go of actual future potential in a say a Kobe White and Patrick Williams as a throwaway, but getting rid of Vucevic, getting rid of maybe even Modest. And so do you get rid of all those guys? Do you let go of Modest, seeing that he is trajected upward this year? He's gotten better and better. Or do you keep that core of Giddey and Modest and Io, who's coming on strong? And so what are they asking back, I guess, is what I would say. Is like, that's the real question. Are you unloading every single player outside of Giddey on this team and saying we want Giannis to come here, and now it's just Giddey and Giannis? What is that going to do for you for the next 3 to 4 years? Absolutely nothing.
If I can keep Io and Giddey, I watch Giannis win a championship that way.
Man.
If I can keep Io and Giddey, I watch Giannis win a championship that way.
Io and Giddey are kind of similar though in what you asked them to do.
No, not at all. I can use Io DeSumo is one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA this year.
Yeah,
he's defensively, he's way better than Josh Giddey is. Right, you're adding a little bit more defense. And here's one thing I will say on top of this: Chicago Bulls, if they were to acquire Giannis in a year that, by the way, I've watched a lot of Milwaukee Bucks basketball. I watched a lot of NBA. There's a lot of TVs in this basement now. I can't wait for us all to get in here. I got 2 right here. We got 1 here. I'm setting 1 up over here. The panels didn't come this Friday. I was going to finish all of this. As you can see, we got a little area down here that doesn't get done there. Got a little bit up here. I got more panels coming. They didn't show up, so I'm kind of upset. My weekend was thrown off, and for some reason my back still hurts. Probably from carrying this show. No, I'm joking. I kid. In a year where I've watched a ton of Chicago Bulls, of Milwaukee Bucks basketball, more than I would say I want to watch.
Yeah.
Giannis hasn't cared a bit about this season. Like, literally has not cared. Has not gone out and tried hard, has not given you maximum effort, has literally done everything he can to say, please get me out of Milwaukee. And in doing that, he is 28 points per game, 64% from the field. He's 10 rebounds a game, 5.6 assists per game. He's still a steal a game. He's just under a block a game. And when I tell you, hasn't tried to play an iota of defense this year. I think the numbers are a little skewed, and he still looks like a top 10 basketball player in the NBA. When I see that,
those numbers are sexy.
I think about, what does that look like in a pick and roll with Josh Giddey? When I see that, I think about, what could that look like on this Bulls team? Now, I understand when we go, you don't want to give up future, you don't want to give up future capital, you don't want to give up future picks, you don't want to go all in on a 31-year-old superstar. Although we do make 31 seem like he's going to die tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like a certain age threshold. Yeah.
Could you, I would say, if the Bulls and this favorite is real, you go from being a team that might be able to be in the play-in to a team that this year could be in the Eastern Conference Finals with that pairing.
Wow.
The East is that weak.
It's that weak, but I mean,
The
you
East
still
is
got
weak.
some good teams at the top.
When you watch the Knicks, do you go dominant basketball team, or do you go, they should be better than this?
True.
They got the talent. I see a team that 100% should be better than this. When you watch now the Celtics, I feel like still kind of are that top team in the Eastern Conference. It seems like they're toying with teams at times. But the only team in the East that seems like a dominant basketball team on a night in, night out basis is the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, they're on the come up. Yeah.
That's it. They're great defensively. At times, the offense kind of wanes a little bit, but for the most part, they can get it done offensively too.
Yeah. Thompson boy is a problem. Yeah.
Well, I look around the East, and I said this. I've talked about the Raptors this year, and I think they're indicative of this conversation. The Raptors don't look like a good basketball team, but they're fourth in the East. They look like a team that can do enough to get it done. And so I think this is an Eastern Conference with the Bulls right now at 24 and 26 that is poised to be taken over. And in the NBA, very different than the conversation we just had in the NFL. In the NBA, when you go all in on top 10 players, you win. You go to the playoffs. You get far in the playoffs because superstars are what matters in basketball. You still got to have a team. I don't think you can go through this. And I don't think you can go through this and just say Modest is going to, you're not going to be hurt by the loss of Modest at any point in the future of this. You're not going to be hurt by the loss of Kobe White at any point in the future of this. Those draft picks that you would have to give up. You can't say that none of that's going to hurt you. But in the current NBA and probably for the next 4 or 5 years, you're in a position where you can go, we will be competing in the playoff. We will be looking to make runs in the playoff. We will be a premier team in the Eastern Conference over the next 4 or 5 years.
But see, that's my question is, again, this is going back to even the conversation we had with the Bears. Like, your version of going all in obviously is going to be different when we're talking about the Bulls. If you want your splash guy, that window is only going to be, because I feel like Giannis maybe has, and I saw somebody put it in chat, it might have been Roddy, who said that maybe he only has the good 3 peak years left, maybe more than that, maybe 4, maybe 5, because just of the type of player he is, the length he has. I feel like that can kind of sustain or age well in a sense. But how far are you getting? Are you going to be like the Raptors of the late 2000s where they were playoff teams constantly, but they couldn't get over the hump? Or the Atlanta Hawks of the 2000s that had a really good team and they couldn't get over the hump. And so you're in basketball purgatory, but you're a little bit further along than what this version of the Bulls is, where they're constantly at the bottom of the play-in. So now you're the 4th seed or the 5th seed now. That's great in the Eastern Conference where anything is possible, but you still can't get to the mountaintop. And for me, I feel like that's, again, just fool's gold. I feel like that's exactly, honestly, what Reinsdorf would want if we were to even get a player like Giannis, is hey, be relevant, but not too relevant. And so that's my only question mark with a move like this is.
Well, it ain't what he want, because now all of a sudden you peeking into that first apron.
Yeah, that's true.
It's definitely not what Reinsdorf want. Here's what I would say to that. A situation very similar. Now, there were more players there. It was a different NBA. It can't be apples to apples. But a situation that we have seen this work in, and I think this goes to, we put a lot on the one player that comes in. We don't have a lot of that same love for the players that are here. You got a player on your team right now that's essentially 19-9-9. And you're adding Giannis to that. What does Josh Giddey become with Giannis standing next to him? Does he become a consistent triple-double guy? Does he become somebody who is living in a world where now all of a sudden you've got modern day, we call him this anyway, Magic Giddey. You got a modern day Magic and Kareem situation. It is also ironic that guy comes from the Milwaukee Bucks, but very much later in his career. Kareem was 27 when he left. Giannis is 31 leaving here. But again, Kareem wasn't Kareem that we all, he was a great player, but we weren't sitting here going, he's one of the greatest to ever play until Magic showed up.
Yeah.
So you're pairing Giannis with the point guard that he's probably needed the entire time since Drew Holiday left. Hopefully you're able to hold on to Ayo Dosunmu in that, and you got to fill the rest of the roles out.
That's the key. You got to find a way to keep him or Modest.
Hey, I'm not saying that it isn't a short-sighted viewpoint.
Yeah.
But you could do a lot of damage in the NBA over the next 4 or 5 years.
They'll be a fun team to watch, as we always say.
And then as Giannis is going down, is Giddey going up? I feel like that wasn't crazy. Maybe it's crazy because of the name.
Okay.
Maybe it's crazy because of the
Hey, well, okay.
As Giannis is going down in talent, is Giddey going up in talent, is what I was saying there. Because I think Giddey's 22 years old.
Yeah.
In 4 or 5 years, Josh Giddey is going to be 26, 27.
Yeah.
That's really the conversation that you got to have. And I think that's where you look around the league and say, well, what is this young man if we put these pieces with him? That would be the all-in conversation I'd be willing to have on that. Again, you're giving up a lot. You're giving up a lot. And I don't even know if you're giving up the best package. Take that for what you will.
Wild today.
but realistically speaking, I don't even know if it, because the Warriors said we'll give you every first round pick until 2032 and Jonathan Kuminga. Or do you want Modest and Kobe and the Bulls first round picks for whatever years? I'm sure there'll be some kind of protections on them. Or Kuminga, where you can go, well, literally just go fill in everything Giannis was doing, and now you do it, and let's see how good you are. You go on Giannis, the great value Giannis.
The great value Giannis. Yeah, no, I do agree with you on the potential of tapping into maybe the best version of Josh Giddey if you were to put him alongside Giannis. That because he's already putting up great numbers, overall. Yeah. We've already known that Giddey is a really well-rounded player. He's improved in his shooting, which is what I really think you need around Giannis. That's what happened when they won the championship before. You put a lot of good players around him that could actually shoot and shoot consistently. And so, if we were to get a player like Giannis, Giddey has to improve in that fashion. Obviously, if Irie were to stay on the team, you mentioned him being one of the better shooters this year. And so that's what I think is the recipe for success if we were to actually make that type of team. Again, I prefer that maybe Modest is staying on this squad. You pair him up with I would like a Giddey, Modest, Giannis pairing more than maybe a Giddey, Ayo, Giannis pairing. That's just me. But I don't know. It's a good.
Can Giannis get Modest to work out like Giannis? Because remember, Giannis was built like Modest.
Yes, I think Modest has the drive. I think Modest has the drive because even in the offseason, that's what he did. He put on a few more pounds. He talked about being in the weight room and in the gym all the time, all offseason. So just keep committing to that.
remember Giannis came back and we was like, is he on steroids?
He did come back 1 year where it was like,
Giannis had 1 year where we was just like, what just happened?
That man went to Russia like Sylvester Stallone and just like ran in the snow all year, picking up wood chips. Just,
Rising up, back on the streets.
That man was about to fight.
My time, took my
wars.
chances.
Yeah, so now I don't know. We'll see. It's exciting to think that we have a chance. But I mean, we've seen this in the past where, you know, we might have been in a conversation for a star and then it kind of fizzles out. And so hopefully this is real. Hopefully this is real.
Listen, more than likely the scenario we're going to be sitting here is AK is going to be sitting here talking to us in a couple of in what? When is the trade deadline? A week? Is it
From now?
NBA trade deadline is this Friday, right? Ain't it?
I believe it's this week.
Date. Give me the date, dummy. You're not gonna give me the February 5th. Oh, 3 days. All right, cool. That was right. Wait, what's that?
February 5th. Today is
Thursday.
2nd. So yeah.
Thursday. Either way. But no, like the
Thursday.
Listen, more than likely we're gonna be sitting here having a conversation with Arturas Karnisovas, and he's gonna be, we didn't see players that could help us get better, and we did not believe that we could move on from a dominant piece like Dario Saric. And we believe that with our 2 second-round picks, we can combine them into 1 first-round pick and then turn that first-round pick into Michael Jordan, and he's walking through that door. Your question.
You know what? That probably is going to be the key. Dario Saric, he's going to revive Saric. He's going to believe in Saric because he was I think he was the second or the runner-up to a Rookie of the Year the year he played with the
Philly,
the 76ers.
With Philly, yeah,
he was like 15 points a game. So he's going to be like, we got our guy.
Hey, have fun with that. Hey, man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. For Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC. It is your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all let us know in the comments below your thoughts. Do you want to see the Bears go all in? Do you want to see the Bulls go all in? Bulls all in might be interesting.
Yeah.
Let us know down in the comments below, man. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bed down. One love. See red. Peace.
Or do you want to see me go all in on a steak? That's right. What are the odds?
I got so nervous.
You didn't know what I was going to say?
So nervous. I didn't know what was about to come out of your mouth.
Hey, it's only Monday. I'm all right. It's only Monday. I'm playing it safe.
God.
It's not the weekend yet, baby.
Or do you want to see me all in? Whoa! Nobody
in all
wants
its glory. That's right.
Oh, God.
Gotta keep you on edge, Pat. Gotta keep you on edge.
I'm on edge.